Welcome into 88.3 The Buzz for everybody's favorite 2 hours of the week. Might be their favorite 2 hours of this spring semester. It's Seipp, it's Smitty, it's Seipp and Smitty for bracket annihilation. This is March. NCAA tournament is starting up in just about an hour now. We're going to leak into the first four 16-seed matchup between Mount St. Mary's and Norfolk State. Is that right, Tom?
That's correct.
All right, so we're kicking off
No.
March.
Oh. Mount St. Mary's is first. Mount St. Mary's, Texas Southern's first.
Texas Southern.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes.
16 seeds get a little shaky for me, not going to lie. Not going to have to worry about one of them past 7 o'clock. So, but this is going to be a great show. I mean, we've built this hype up for about a week now. I mean, there's been anticipated viewership of Seipp and Smitty this week because we've been billing it as a total battle. Seippotology versus Tyler's terrible bracket, as he likes to call it.
Yes, I do.
We are absolutely going at it, and we're going to completely tear down the bracket region by region. Tom, this is our favorite time of the year.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, we were counting down the moments on February 28th until March 1st. Because March is my favorite time of the year. I'm wearing my high school jacket today, and I was thinking, I really don't wear this jacket a lot. I'm representing my high school, but this is where Seippotology was born in high school. Okay, these were the times that it all began. I had a great weekend one time in 2017, and ever since then I've ran with it. And I'm ready to just annihilate your bracket because I think your bracket's terrible.
Well, I think the same about your bracket. Seippotology has been hyped up as this, end-all, be-all of college basketball junkie-isms.
Wow.
And, I portray myself as a college hoops junkie myself. So, I mean, we're going to have some pretty good back and forth here about the brackets, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of differences. Maybe some similarities, hopefully not too much because I want to yell at this guy for 2 hours.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that we won't have way too many similarities because, first of all, you don't even know my bracket yet. I've done a very good job. I haven't unveiled my bracket yet. And this is going to be mine. I've heard yours before. I've heard you've made some changes, probably because I suggested a few things. So I'm sure that I'll be interested to see what you think as we go along. And of course, we're going to be going region by region. Starting in the East, we have to. St. Bonaventure, the 9 seed. Mm-hmm. And I know you'll take us through it, and I'm sure we'll have many lengthy conversations. I mean, look at this, Tyler. We have 2 hours to talk about 4 different regions, and I'm sure each one will probably exceed that 30-minute mark.
I was going to say, yeah, we might leak over and not be able to talk about some regions as much as the others, especially when we're going to kick off things with the East bracket. This is going to be so much fun because everybody's billing Michigan as limping into the tournament as the final number 1 seed, missing Isaiah Livers. They will face, who do they have in their first round matchup?
Michigan?
Yeah, Michigan.
They play the winner of tonight's first
That's what I thought. The winner of Mount St.
Mary's, Texas Southern.
Mount St. Mary's, Texas Southern. Well, the good part about going through all these brackets is we really don't have to talk about the 116s too much because, it's happened once before, but this season it seems like those 1 seeds are definitely a peg above a lot of the teams in the bottom of the field. So we're not going to have to talk about 116s too much. Michigan's going to roll over whoever wins tonight's or this evening's match.
We'll have to talk about some 215s, though.
Ooh, yes. Tom Seipp did say on Twitter that a 15 seed would win this year, and we're going to get to which of those 15 seeds he could see possibly pulling off the major upset in just a little bit. But, Michigan's going to roll over to the winner of Texas Southern, Mount St. Mary's. And now we're really kicking things off with a lot of people's most anticipated matchup of the first round. I know it's everybody in Western New York's most anticipated matchup of the first round. It's St. Bonaventure, the number 9 seed, looking to upset, I guess, number 8 seed LSU. Both teams are scorching hot right now. St. Bonaventure coming off its first Atlantic 10 championship in 8 or 9 years, and LSU just coming off a crushing 1-point loss to Alabama in the SEC championship. I mean, there's so much to talk about this game. Tom, kick it off.
Well, first of all, you mentioned how both teams are playing their best basketball. Let's start with LSU. LSU played actually simultaneously at the same time as the Atlantic 10 championship, taking Alabama down to the wire, and the SEC champions. But with LSU, how we look at them, in all honesty, when Selection Sunday happened, honestly, let's see, St. Bonaventure was the last region to go. East region was the last one. So, of course, they had us sit there for 20 minutes in pain.
It was scary.
Pain.
When I saw number 8 in North Carolina go up, I was sure we were getting them, and I was going to be like, oh, that's a terrible matchup for us. But LSU, I mean, it's not the best matchup of the 8 seeds that we could have got. I would have liked maybe Loyola Chicago or Oklahoma a little bit more, but we didn't get the worst matchup in my opinion. And that's because LSU plays such a different style than us. They really do.
Yeah, no, they're all offense, no defense is really something that I think is a main point that I'm going to continue to hone until 1:45 on Saturday. But, talk about this LSU team. Of course, they have Cameron Thomas, who is just disgusting. He is a fantastic player. And LSU, they don't have too much height, but they have big guys down low, whether it's Stays, whether it's Wofford. They're really strong down low. It's going to be a problem defensively for St. Bonaventure, likely, but nonetheless, Bonaventure has been so highly touted defensively all season long, and that's really why they're here at this point as a 9th NCAA tournament. And let's talk about the matchup, right? We can go through. LSU doesn't have the height. They have obviously probably more naturally gifted, if we're being honest.
Listen,
without question.
We're not going to sugarcoat that our guys are all NBA peg superstars playing in a Power 5 conference. LSU has guys who are just straight up ISO ball, go get a bucket whenever you need it. I mean, they don't average a ton of assists at all as a team. St. Bonaventure moves the ball around. They suffocate you on defense. They switch a lot on the perimeter, which is something that LSU also does, which that is scary to me as far as our offensive approach to the game. And, the one thing that I know that we have over them is height. And that's not even at multiple positions.
Yeah, it's one player.
That's one player. Oshuni, who won Most Outstanding Player of the Atlantic 10 Tournament and Defensive Player of the Year in the conference. I mean, this guy's been on a tear. We've criticized him for a large part of the regular season, but I mean, he's making us eat our words these past few weeks. He's playing on another level, offensively and defensively. He's able to hit a 16-footer we saw in the A10 championship, capping off a 7-point possession. He's been catching lobs. He's been getting offensive rebounds and putting him quick back up. He's really been the rock for this St. Bonaventure basketball team. And I mean, no disrespect to Kyle Lofton whatsoever, because he basically serves the same function at a different position at the point guard. And these two guys have been powering us all the way since they walked in as freshman starters, and now they're here as junior captains. And I couldn't be happier to have these two guys at the helm.
And first of all, I'll address this first comment. I think I would drop 20 on LSU. I think you could drop 20 on anyone in the country. So thank you, Carter, for noting that. But second point here. Talk about Oshuni. My good friend Stephen Amon from Mississippi had to always mention the Mississippi part. He was talking last night. We were talking about the Oshuni and Days matchup, right?
Yeah.
When Days scores more than 10 points, he said this.
This is a huge stat.
LSU is 17-1 when he scores more than 10 points, which means when he doesn't, 1-8. That shows how LSU could really propel off him offensively, and if he struggles offensively, at least, that they're going to struggle. And that's why, again, with the Atlantic 10 Conference Defensive Player of the Year, with Oshuni, it's going to be a huge matchup for him. And again, Tyler, you're right. There was times where we were critical of his interior defense.
Interior defense, interior offense, pretty much a lot of the stuff that he was doing this year, besides rebounding and blocking shots.
Sure, but in this Atlantic 10 tournament, against St. Louis and VCU, he was fantastic. He was the main focus defensively. It's without question, undoubtedly, probably unanimously won that most outstanding player of the tournament, and he's going to have to come up huge. And it sounds stupid to say this, but it's true. He can't get in foul trouble.
Okay.
If he gets in foul trouble, St. Bonaventure is in big trouble without question.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
And I want to piggyback off that and saying that pretty much any of our starters getting in foul trouble is going to pose big trouble in probably a key stretch of the game, whether it be the last 10 minutes of the first half or the middle portion of the second half, where you really need to make that run and separate yourself from the other team. If we get into foul trouble, it's going to be a huge problem. However, in the beginning of the year, LSU ran a deeper rotation. Now they've limited to just 7 players that normally get in the game like us, barring a couple foul trouble instances. So foul trouble on both teams is going to play a huge role. We're going to have to see who tightens up on defense. I mean, LSU hasn't shown us that they can play a lick of defense all year. So if we can attack the rim, attack the offensive glass, get some chippy fouls down there, we could be in some really good spots, especially if we get, like you said, Darius Days into foul trouble, Cam Thomas into foul trouble.
Well, that would be great.
We have done such a good job on key scores in the Atlantic 10. Let's not forget that the Atlantic 10 was nearly talked about as a 4-bid league just a few months ago. Now it's only a 2, 4 teams in the NIT. Tom was not a believer of the 4-bid league. But nevertheless, this conference had some good offensive scores. Kellen Grady, who we played in the last stretch of the season, didn't do a lick on us. He's been one of Davis's premier scorers since he entered in. Then we face Jordan Goodwin and Javante Perkins of St. Louis the second time around in the Atlantic 10 semifinal. We hold them both to 11 points or less. And then Bones Highland. We basically ice him out anywhere except for the foul line, where he went 11 at 12. And from the field, he struggled. He had a couple baskets late when the game was pretty much out of hand. But if you really look at the majority of the game, he was in foul trouble and he wasn't shooting well. So if we can take away the stars, that's going to be the winning formula.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And in the tournament, one of the things I always like to do, Seippotology loves to look at the common opponents. Mm-hmm. And with Bonaventure playing 2 non-conference games, it became very difficult. But they
were SEC teams.
But they did have a common opponent, and that is when LSU did lose at St. Louis this year. So you can say, maybe Bonaventure just beat up on St. Louis last week, and LSU lost there. Of course, you mentioned LSU had a deeper bench there. It's much different teams as time goes on.
But listen, St. Louis
was probably better then.
That's what I was going to say. St. Louis is a much better team when they beat LSU, but we competed with them when they ran that same lineup, and they kept running that same lineup until the semifinal, and we really just let that game wire to wire. So this game could go either way. Brackets have it predicted it really a 51-49 game, however you put it. A lot of outlets have Bonnies, a lot of outlets have LSU. And one thing I will say is the public, if you're a betting man, is all over LSU -2.
Ridiculous.
So, very ridiculous the shake that we're getting from public bettors. But you know what? I kind of like it that way. I like being the underdog, the team that nobody's talking about, because when I say that most of the public is on LSU -2, I don't mean like 60%. I don't mean 70%. I mean 88% of the public is betting LSU -2. Take that for what it's worth. A lot of the times in the tournament, those are the games that go the other way. Just saying, if you want some extra money in your pockets, maybe the Bonnies might be a good bet. But then again, it's basically a coin flip.
Yeah, you can sprinkle a little Bonnie money line, a little Bonnie +2. That's what I think it is.
Don't make us plus money. I mean, you make us money, and we're going to make you pay. So there you have it. Who do you have coming out of this game? I think we both have the same team, because if we didn't, we would be sacrilegious.
Yeah, I think I'd be crucified if I picked LSU. But if I'm being completely serious, non-biased, I think Bonaventure does win the game. And I think I would say if I went to any other university. I do think that they're just the better team in this situation. Not the better team, better matchup, excuse me. Definitely not the better team, but the better matchup.
I absolutely agree, and I can't believe we've talked about this game for upwards of 10 minutes now. We got basically 67 more games to go.
We won't do this forever.
Yeah, we won't do this. We know too much about these teams as we've kind of dove into the research aspect and the analytics.
But I will mention this when talking about just the bracket itself. I think no matter who wins the LSU St. Bonaventure game, I know we're going to get more in depth to this in a minute, but I think they do beat Michigan. So regardless, I think these are 2 very good teams who the winner at about 3:45 on Saturday will be playing into next week, I believe.
I also, if we're going to agree on a few things, I'm glad it's going to be that one.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan's, like I said before, limping into the tournament. I think Oshun is a great matchup for Hunter Dickinson. And when it comes down to it, you said it a few days ago, and I'm just going to steal your thunder now. Defense travels.
Shocker.
Defense travels. The offense, the elite shot making, doesn't always translate to a new location, to a new environment, especially like this one in a bubble where a team like an SEC team like LSU has been pampered their entire career. You get St. Bonaventure coming into the mix. They've been eating at the Hickey. They've been living in Shea Low, and they're ready for a gritty environment like we have in Indianapolis. I got the Bonnies in a real close one, low-scoring game, because that's the only way that St. Bonaventure is going to come out with a win. And like you said, I got the winner beating Michigan as well, but we'll get to that in just a second. Next game up, You have some thoughts about this one.
I do. Colorado, Georgetown, I don't think it's fairly close. I really didn't put much thought into this one.
Wow.
If I'm being perfectly honest, I saw the matchup and kind of instantly I picked Georgetown. I mean, this team just dominated through the Big East tournament. They had a lot of COVID issues, didn't play too many games, if we're being honest here. And sure, they're maybe not the best team, but I know you disagree at this point, but I really like it. When you have that momentum and you walk through your conference tournament, beating the likes of Villanova, Seton Hall, and Creighton, and well, Marquette too, but win those 4 games in 4 days. You show you have that stamina. You show you have that capability, that ability to win those games. I'm sorry, I'm not very high on Colorado whatsoever. Really, not many teams from the Pac-12 I am. So I got Patrick Ewing leading his team to victory here in the round of 64.
Well, the one thing I will say about Georgetown is they keep a lot of games competitive, and I think they'll do the same with this one. The reason I have Colorado is the difference in a lot of these close games is how you shoot from the free throw line.
I find that completely blasphemous every time that people continue to bring that up. I know statistically Colorado has been one of the best free throw shooting teams ever. Are we going to act
the best?
Are we going to act like on Wednesday against Villanova, Georgetown didn't shoot 23 for 23 from the line either?
They did.
And they hit very clutch shots. I don't know.
Please find me another instance where they shot over 90% of the game.
I'm sure there's plenty. I didn't do far enough research into that, but I think it's blatantly obvious that this is a very good free throw shooting team too. So I find it kind of ironic that Georgetown is a very good free throw shooting team and they're going up against this Colorado team. Everyone's like, oh, they're free throw shooting. No. Come on.
I'm just saying, I love the guard play of Colorado is far superior than that of Georgetown, in my opinion. I'm not a big Javon Blair guy. However, Kudus Wab, I don't know how to say his name, but when I started watching the Big East tournament for Georgetown, this guy is an animal. So that's going to be something that Colorado's going to have to watch out for. He's really come along as the season progressed, but I don't know. I just think a team that was number 1 in their conference all year is just going to be better than the team that got hot
it's the Pac-12.
They got hot for 1 week.
It's the Pac-12. And the Pac-12 has been up and down all year long, including Colorado. They've had some ups. They've had some downs. They got blown out against Oregon State. They've been blown out in some other games. The Pac-12 has been incredibly inconsistent. So, I don't really know if I believe in that. I mean, they do have McKinley Wright, by the way, who was committed to Dayton, who was going to come to the mighty A-10, but decided to go to Colorado. And again, I don't. This is one of the games where it's a 12-5 upset, and I genuinely think that I would be shocked if Colorado won.
I would not be shocked if Colorado won. However, I wouldn't be shocked if Georgetown won either. One thing I will say about Georgetown is you get hot for a week, everybody is on you. When the lights get brighter and you're playing in a new arena, just not going to feel the same playing in MSG for Patrick Ewing. I got the Buffaloes. Moving on down the line, because we're taking way too long, but on some of these picks, it's deservedly so because we disagree so heavily.
It's almost taken as long as you to get to the station.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry for my delayed arrival. Very serious implications academically for Mr. Seipp.
Academics first.
Today, we always value academics first. Next up in line, BYU versus the winner of MSU UCLA. Still in March, can't really be argued with, but this BYU team is pretty good.
Looks like we're just skipping over Florida State's win. I guess we both agree on that.
I actually did skip over it by accident, glossing over the bracket. Florida State will win that game, though. I don't really think we're about it.
I don't think so either, actually. Michigan State, I do think wins tonight. I think it's a good game. I think actually UCLA is a pretty good team, pretty well coached from Mick Cronin.
Talk about up and downs.
But I mean, I can't bet against Tommy Izzo in his own month. January, February Izzo. I got to go Michigan State, but when it comes to when will they play? I don't know when they're playing. Probably Saturday. When it comes to Michigan State playing BYU, I'm sorry, and it's ridiculous that this is kind of the unpopular pick, as I kind of just alluded to for Georgetown, how the 12 was more the favorite here. Now the 11 seems like the more favorite here, but I got to go with BYU here. I think that they're more experienced. They're a very good team. I mean, this team has had 6 losses, and none of them are bad. We went through them last night. It's really no question about it. So
took Gonzaga to the wire in their last meeting.
Yeah, I think Michigan State's going to get run down tonight, late at night. 10 o'clock start at Assembly Hall. I think that they're playing at. But it might be Lucas. I don't know. But
Assembly Hall is where the first four is going to be held.
Yeah, no, I think the 16 seeds are there.
Oh,
but not Michigan State. Yeah, I can find that out for you right now. Michigan State is playing at Mackey Arena, so they're playing at Purdue.
Yep.
So there you go. But when it's all said and done, BYU is going to beat Michigan State when they match up on Saturday.
So, for all the reasons you just explained, and the more times I look at this MSU roster, and really this UCLA roster, even if they come out with a win tonight, just not really a fan of either. And I hate to bet against Tommy Izzo in March, but I mean he has spoiled things before. Shout out Middle Tennessee State, everybody's least favorite 15 seed. I also have BYU in this one. I'm also a big Matt Harms guy, so.
Back in the state of Indiana, Matt Harms?
That's right. Hey, if he's there's no way. Oh no, the BYU's not playing there. If they are though, that'll be interesting. If Matt Harms plays in his former arena at Purdue in March Madness. However, the play of the big men and the 3-point shooting of BYU is just going to power them ahead. I think they're a better team, and that's why they're going to advance.
Yeah, I agree.
Texas Abilene Christian. Do we have much to go over in this one?
I've seen a lot of TikToks.
Is Abilene Christian upset pick? I don't think so, but
I don't think so either. It's not one of mine, but I've seen a few people pick it. It's kind of, I feel like people pick Texas to the Final Four. They pick them losing in the first round.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm picking Texas here, and there's not too much to say there. I think Texas is going to win this game here,
especially when a team like Texas has a high-powered offense, and a team like Abilene Christian does as well, but they allow a lot of points too. I just have to go with the better team overall. And even though Texas has been inconsistent at times here, they have a lot of wins, and they won the Big 12.
They did. Thanks to Kansas.
Really not going to argue with what with the production that they put in, especially late in the season. I'm not going to argue with Shaka Smart in March either. Texas is going to win Abilene Christian easy. Another game that I will admit before we start, Tom did sway me on this pick. UConn, Maryland, and spoiler alert, we're going Big East. Got the Huskies.
Yeah, I got the Huskies too. I mean, Danny Hurley, out in Connecticut, has done a very good job. When James Bouknight plays, they've looked fantastic. Outside of that Big East semifinal against Creighton, I think that he's gonna have a bounce. Creighton.
I'm going with UConn here.
Yeah, when Bouknight plays, they're a different team.
Absolutely. Side note, watch out to see if this team gets Fats Russell transfer from Rhode Island to go play with his former coach Dan Hurley next year as the A-10 looks to empty itself after the Bonnie's dominance. Yeah, I got UConn in this one. I was worried about Bouknight's injury just a little bit, but he's got 6 days to heal up, rest up, and practice. I'm going to go with the Huskies here easily. And I like Dan Hurley a lot.
Yeah.
Alabama, Iona.
All right, listen, we have to talk about it a little bit. Iona's fantastic defensively. Alabama's kind of all offense as well. Nate Oates is a fantastic coach. I'm going to pick Alabama here. I'm going to say 4 o'clock on Saturday. Don't be shocked if Ricky Pitino's Iona Gales make this a close game. Iona has been in the tournament, I don't know, I think it's their 5th consecutive year out of the MAAC, the MAAC, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, but they really didn't secure any wins under Coach Tim Clues, who was a fantastic coach, but now we're giving Ricky Pitino 6 days in March to prepare for Alabama, again, a team that really doesn't play too much defense. I'm just saying, if Iona does pull off the 15-2, to not be shocked.
I would second that. And a little suggestion, again, for you betting men out there, take Iona first half spread. They're going to cover. They're absolutely going to cover in the first half. Don't even be surprised if they're up. Maybe sprinkle a little first half money line. Don't go as far as taking plus 100 for the full game because they're probably not going to win. But like Tom said, don't be surprised if this is the 15-2 upset. I got Alabama, obviously, though.
Yeah, I do as well. As we're going to go from the bracket bottom back up now. Start with Alabama and UConn. This is a game I thought about a lot, especially with Bouknight's injury. Do we think that he can come back in less than 48 hours and perform well against Alabama, assuming that they get through Maryland? And you know what? I do think that. I'm picking the 2-seed Alabama Crimson Tide to go down to UConn. UConn always scares me. If they're a 7-8 seed, I feel like they're a lock for quite a while.
That is true.
I'm picking Coach Hurley here and James Bouknight to make it to the Sweet 16 from the bottom of the East.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I think Alabama's super talented. I have them going further than the next round as well, just for a little spoiler alert. Yeah, Alabama is the far superior team. They shoot it ridiculously well from outside. Their entire rotation shoots over 35%. And they have 4 guys who average double digits, just like the Bonnies. Very balanced scoring. They don't, like you said, don't play a lot of defense, but they can also put up 100 points in a game. That's why I got to take them here. I don't think UConn's the biggest defensive juggernaut either. So in a game where teams are going to try to shoot each other out of the gym, Alabama's going to come out victorious. I got the 2-seed moving on.
Yeah, as we go up, and now here is a game where I've really had to think about it.
Tom's got 7 and 6s in the Sweet 16 because that's how March works. Did I just spoil a BYU just now?
You did. Originally my original thought was having Texas go far. The more and more people that said it, the more and more people I didn't believe it. and now with BYU again, I think that they've improved every game this year. Again, they had that first early blowout loss to USC, came back, they beat San Diego State, beat St. John's, and it's not that great of a win, but I'm going to consider it. In bubbling Connecticut. But each time they played Gonzaga, I understand that the more you play a team, the better you'll do against them. But they did look better as a team completely, especially in that championship game just about a week ago. This was a tough pick again. I picked Texas originally, but I'm going to go with BYU here. And again, just for people who know, I said I wasn't going to make my bracket until tonight or really announce it. I do have Espn Tournament Challenge up, and I'm doing it right now. I don't have anything prepared. I'm really just coming along with it as we go. So I am going to go with BYU here, though.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with Texas. They're the better team. They play in a much better. They play better competition all year. They've showed that they can beat better competition all year. What's BYU's signature win?
Probably San Diego State.
That's a good win. I will not knock that whatsoever.
San Diego State. San
Diego State's a very.
They beat Utah State.
I don't think Utah
beat
State's
Utah. They beat Texas Southern. Beat St. Mary's a few times, San Francisco a few times.
St. Mary's,
their really only bad loss was a back-to-back against Pepperdine when they were there, and they lost by 3.
Pepperdine's always good to get.
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't think that the West Coast Conference is as bad as everybody says.
I agree.
But I'm gonna go with a true Power 5 here in Texas and a true Power 5 champion in Shaka Smart. This one's just going to be, I think it'll be easy for them, to be honest.
Well, I love chaos. That's why I have UConn, BYU, and Georgetown. That's why I have Georgetown going to the Sweet 16 as well.
Florida State.
The funny thing is, in my other 3 regions, I do have a lot of chalk, but the East is just not that.
That's why we're kind of taking so much time on this region, because there is a lot of upset potential in the East.
Yeah, East is the I feel like, especially for me as a bracket person, I always go and go through the East region. I really feel like I have one region that is just a complete mess. And sometimes it works out. It was Auburn 2 years ago for me. And, I've had a few other times that sometimes worked out, sometimes been brutal. I had SMU to the Final Four one year. Yeah, pretty bad. So
when Mizzou was a 2-seed and lost to Norfolk State, I had them winning it all. So.
I just don't understand why you even did that in the first place. No. But that's why I do have the 12 seed Georgetown beating Florida State. I think, again, momentum is kind of a big key here. Florida State, I know that people think that, luck is finally going to come out for them, but I just don't see that happening
It's not even really luck. I mean, look at how many times they've made the Sweet 16 in the Elite 8 in the past, 10 years.
They have, yeah.
It's been a few times.
I kind of meant that implying when I meant luck to the Final Four.
Okay.
But I don't know. For some reason, I'm not high in the ACC whatsoever. I think I have 2 wins in the entire tournament for the ACC, just a spoiler. So I'm not high on them at all. So I'm going with the Big East champions, Big East tournament champion, Georgetown Hoyas, to move on to the second weekend.
Wow. And, this is where it gets a little fun because I have a completely different matchup. Obviously, I have Florida State, but I have Colorado playing them and beating them because the Pac-12 is actually going to surprise people in the tournament. They got some good draws. I don't know what I love about this Colorado team. I've watched them a few times.
I don't either.
I've watched them a few times at 2 in the morning, and maybe my memory's a little hazy, but I just like the way they play. I think it's fundamental. I think it's they have great outside shooting and great rebounding, and of course, they shoot great from the line. I got them a close game. This is going to be a Colorado team that does not win a lot of games by more than 2 possessions. And this is going to be another one of those instances. Moving on to the round of 32, one of the biggest surprises I have in the tournament, moving on to the Sweet 16 to play the winner of Michigan St. Bonaventure, and I think we've already spoiled that as well.
We have to pick St. Bonaventure.
Second weekend, Bonnie.
I am going to admit, if I wasn't a Bonaventure fan and just looking at the rest of this East I've done, and the 6, 7, 12, and they're like, okay, that's a mess, and maybe you'd imply the 1, and maybe they can save you, but this is just a mess. I don't know if I've ever seen a bracket come out to this, but have we ever seen a tournament like 2021? So I'm going to have the 9 seed St. Bonaventure against the 12 seed Georgetown, 6 BYU, and 7 UConn. And how about that, Tyler?
That is just a total mess of a bracket. I think we should change it to Tom's terrible bracket and change it to Smittytology.
Listen, when it happens, you should apologize to me. But I do again want to make a point that if LSU does beat St. Bonaventure, I think that they're going to be in the same position. I think LSU would go to the Elite Eight. Yeah.
I absolutely agree. And I have St. Bonaventure obviously matching up with Colorado in that Sweet 16 matchup. And this is where the road for the Buffaloes ends. Because the Bonnies just play so good defensively. And Colorado's going to have 2 games where they shoot the lights out. And they're just going to be gassed at that point. The arms aren't going to be as strong. The shots aren't going to fall for a few possessions. And the Bonnies are going to capitalize, creating turnovers and playing great interior defense. I got the Bonnies moving on to the Elite Eight.
Listen, you can determine at home if you think we're being a little biased here when we pick St. Bonaventure, but genuinely speaking,
I care.
I think I know, and I always take my brackets very seriously. As I know, Mike Hogan was making fun of me on Twitter last night about how analytical and how serious take this. You were making fun of me on Twitter as I was. What was I tweeting about last night? Oh, Evan Mobley in Iowa. Like what? Like 2:30 in the morning. Yeah, I am a little weird, but nonetheless, I do take it seriously.
I was up to respond to the tweet, so I'm just as weird as you. We're college hoops junkies. This is our time of the year. We sleep in May.
There you go. And as we move on,
Elite Eight, to final game of the bracket.
Yes. You go first. What is your matchup for the Elite Eight?
It's Alabama and St. Bonaventure.
So that means St. Bonaventure and Mark Schmidt's going to beat old Buffalo coach any of those, right?
Nope. Sadly, the Cinderella run for the Bonnies ends there.
The road ends there.
As they suffer a crushing loss. Might be a blowout if this game gets there because the Alabama offense is just too ridiculous for the Bonnies. I think LSU is an offense that we can stifle and suppress. Alabama is a tier above them as far as offensive production goes, and they play a lick more defense than LSU. I think it's just going to be a bigger matchup for us that we're just not going to be able to get over the hump in.
I think the road's going to end for Georgetown once the team from Olean takes them down. But Olean is going to go quiet in the Elite Eight after this team beats them in the Final Four. Now, who do you think I'm going to pick? Do you think I'm going to pick UConn or do you think I'm going to pick BYU?
I could see you pick both of the teams, but even though you're a Big East guy, I think you got the Cougars moving on to the Final Four.
Classic Tyler Smith making a wrong prediction. I got the UConn Huskies.
Is James Bouknight going to take over the tournament?
This is a name that people are just going to love, and that's exactly what my point was. Shabazz Napier, Kemba Walker, James Bouknight. I mean, this is just a guy who, fully healthy, is just going to dominate the NCAA tournament. Of course, I'm banking on the fact that he's going to be fully healthy, but I really think that they have this path and they have this opportunity to make a run, and I think they're going to do that against BYU, and they are my first team in the Final Four.
Well, Nate Oates in Alabama, SEC Coach of the Year, probably the best team in the SEC. You could say Arkansas, but I say Alabama. They are moving on to the Final Four in Indianapolis Lucas Oil Stadium. And I didn't mention this before, but I had them beating Texas in the Sweet 16 and moving on to beat St. Bonaventure in the Elite Eight. And that's going to wrap up our East bracket. When we come back,
the West,
we move on to the West. That is Gonzaga's tournament, or is Gonzaga's bracket.
Ohio's bracket.
Some people say Ohio's bracket. It's the Zags bracket. probably will be a little quicker than the East breakdown. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's the West. You're listening to Seipp and Smitty on WSBU 80.3, The Buzz. Welcome back into Seipp and Smitty on WSBU 88.3 The Buzz. We just broke down the East region, and now we're moving to the West. And I'll say it straight up. I'm not going to lie. Gonzaga's got a cakewalk.
This is the Gonzaga region. If we're going to be John Rossi and start naming regions, this is the Gonzaga region.
Gonzaga region.
This is most definitely so. Yeah, I mean, this one's going to be a lot easier than the last one that we took about 35 minutes on. But, yeah, I got Gonzaga winning the first game. I think the 8-9 matchup is a little bit weird because Oklahoma has some COVID issues. And Missouri actually played well in their SEC tournament loss against Arkansas. But for some reason, I'm just going to stick with Oklahoma here, Tyler. But it doesn't matter because Gonzaga is going to walk to the Sweet 16.
Well, I'm pretty sure we referenced it last week on our show. But Oklahoma cost me a little bit of money.
Oh, yes.
I was
Tyler wanted to murder me.
not very fond of the Oklahoma Sooners
Or Tom Seipp.
on the drive back from where we were home in that one, right?
Yeah,
That was the
quarantine.
drive from our home quarantine
Look at us.
back to St. Bonaventure. Responsible
Quarantine.
COVID precautionaries. And I actually had Missouri before the Oklahoma COVID scare, and I still have them obviously now. Although I love Austin Reeves, I think Missouri was just too good at the beginning of the season, and they had that shaky stretch in the middle. But like you said, they played great against Arkansas, ended up losing. But I think they're the better team in this situation. Oklahoma has been over all year. I like Brady Manek. Like I said, I like Austin Reeves, but they're just not really a good enough team, in my opinion, to come out of this matchup. It's a 50-50 game. It's going to be probably a 2-possession, 1-possession game, but I think I got Missouri making the final shot.
I mean, no matter what, it really doesn't matter. It's going to be a 2 points win. It was really you, not me.
The winner gets blown out by Gonzaga in the round of 30.
Yeah, probably. So we're just going to move right along
moving
here.
down the line.
And I'll let you talk about this one.
Okay. If you listen to the show, you know how much I've been praising Creighton. Marcus Zagorowski, Denzel Mahoney, Mitch Ballack. 3 great guys that they have on the perimeter, and they have good big play. But another team I've been liking down the stretch are these UC Santa Barbara Gauchos out of the Big West. They are so fun to watch on offense. Jamori McLaughlin is their guy at the top of the key. He runs basically the offense. He takes the most shots, and he's going to be a tournament name to watch. I really just I'm screaming upset in this round of 64 matchup, and I hate to do it to the Creighton Blue Jays. But UCSB is hot right now, and I know I just pretty much, took a dump on Tom's, mantra of pick the team that's hot, but this is a really hot team. Creighton is going through some internal issues right now with head coach Greg McDermott. I don't know if it's all resolved by this weekend. I got UCSB moving on, and a little bit of a popular 5-12 upset, but not the biggest. So, yeah, I got the Gauchos moving on this one.
Yeah, no, I do as well. I think experience is playing a big factor. They have a lot of transfers from other Power 5 schools, which is always something to keep in mind. So good job by the head coach of the Gauchos to get those transfers in, because experience is very key in this situation. I am also taking them. I think I've seen about 2 people so far take the Creighton Blue Jays so far. But, Tyler, I'll let you talk about Creighton UCSB, so I'm just going to absolutely steal the mic here.
Please do.
I'm going to run away. And I think we just talked about the entire East region for 35 minutes. I think I could talk about the Ohio Bobcats for about 35 minutes. And they came to Olean, New York on November 6th, I believe it was.
12-point dog.
Of 2019. They came to St. Bonaventure. They destroyed the Buckeyes. It's my first game I've ever watched the Buckeyes. They got killed. It was embarrassing.
It wasn't.
But I have videos on my Snapchat memories of this point guard who I thought was so crafty. So a fantastic playmaker. I thought he was incredible. I have a Snapchat memory. It says Jason Preston, future GOAT.
Now, I am going to only say a quick thing here to back you up almost. I hate that Jason Preston's getting all this hype now, because Tommy Seipp has been on this guy for upwards of 2 years now.
Look at my Twitter. Look at my Twitter if you don't believe me. I have tweets from before the Illinois game. I have text message proof before when they almost beat Illinois, saying that Jason Preston is one of my favorite players in the MAC. And Frankie Vision, I know I'm bringing up Frankie Vision, but he posted a video of him during quarantine, and I put it on my story. I was like, I love this kid. And now he's getting national attention, and I feel like a genius. This is what Seippotology is made of. Jason Preston, the point guard from Ohio. Everyone, if you don't know his story already, just go on to TikTok. You might find it in about 5 swipes. This guy had no Division I offers out of the high school he went to. He was on the C team, and he posted a YouTube clip of his mixtape, got an offer from Ohio. Now here he is just dominating, not only through the MAC, but on the high stage. At Illinois earlier this year, only lost by 2. He had a chance at the buzzer and took a long 3, but it was to no avail. This guy's averaging 16.5 points a game, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. This guy could do it all. I think that they're not only going to beat this Virginia team, but they're going to beat UCSB too, go to the Sweet 16. This guy's stock is going to rise unbelievably. He's going to be a first-round pick in the upcoming NBA draft. And listen, I really, honest to God, believe Jason Preston from Ohio has the opportunity to be a starting point guard in the NBA. And again, I'm saying this before the NCAA tournament, and I've been thinking this before this season. I've been saying this since his sophomore year. And I don't know if he'll leave this year. I don't know if he'll leave next year. But he is trending in the right direction. He's only getting better with time. And this is just a naturally talented and gifted player. And I think he's going to lead his Ohio Bobcat team against Virginia, against UCSB in that 13-12 matchup. Obviously, they're not going to beat Gonzaga, but that's what legends are made of. Teams remember. People remember teams like this. We all know Thomas Walkup with the SF Austin. That's another classic example of they never made it past the Sweet 16, but that's a guy who was so good for his college team that we all remembered him. It wasn't because of his red hair. It was because of how good he was. And now Jason Preston is just he's a better version of that, a more fulfilling player. I think that Jason Preston's going to be in the NBA, and
is DLI. They've allowed 73 points a game, and they've scored a ton. They're averaging 81 themselves, but they've never come into an arena and played a defense like Tony Bennett and Virginia. These Cavaliers keep games within the 50s when they want it to. I think 3 years ago when they lost to UMBC, I think that stung. I think it still stings, even though they won a national championship after. I think Tony Bennett will never miss the round of 32 or the round of 32 again, as long as Virginia is competitive and in the tournament. I think that the defense plays a huge role here. Like I said with the times before, this game is going to be low scoring, and that's what's going to be the problem for Bobcats. I have Virginia. I'm sorry.
It is going to be lower scoring. I do agree with you. I think the one problem for Ohio is probably the center position with the matchup between Dwight Wilson and Mr. Huff on the.
Yes, Michael Huff is a beast.
Yeah, Huff is for sure. But in the end, I'm sorry. I'm just going to take the better player here. That's what I believe.
And that's totally fine. I love disagreeing because we're gonna have a different result when it comes to whenever they.
Well, you'll have a different result.
Oh, okay.
I will have the right result.
Okay. All right,
So
that's fair. I'm just gonna let the games speak for themselves.
Okay.
We move on. USC versus the Wichita Drake winner in tonight's first four games.
20-point blowout.
I agree. I don't think Wichita State or Drake is really competitive enough to be competing with a lot of teams in the field, and USC certainly is not one of them. The Moley brothers are beasts. This is another Pac-12 team that I can see getting a few wins in March, and I'll get to that in just a little bit. We both see USC in a big win here. Yeah,
without question. I think it's going to be Drake who actually beats Wichita because it's just that player came back from COVID. I think Drake's terrible. I think Wichita State's terrible. So I think USC is going to walk to the round of 32 backwards.
Absolutely agree. Next up is another game that is probably going to be a blowout, but there's always these games that nobody expects to be a blowout. Eastern Washington's getting a few looks, but not enough to be to the point of where people are calling it some Cinderella upset pick. Kansas kind of living into the tournament.
Yes, because of COVID is a factor for them, and that totally reminds me of another point about Virginia, by the way. They can't even practice until tomorrow. They're arriving in Indianapolis tomorrow. The game is Saturday night. That is a big point.
That does harbor Virginia very much.
I just wanted to make sure that was known.
But like I said, you have to practice defense.
I completely understand. Nonetheless,
Kansas walks over Eastern Washington here. Am I wrong or not?
I agree with you. I think that this might be the one, because there's one every year of no one's been upset, and this could be it. And solely because of COVID issues. So I think that this could be it, but I don't see it happening. And
I don't see it happening either.
And I'll jump right to the round 32 as well. I think USC is actually going to beat Kansas. I think F. Mobley is going to take over here, whether it's McCormack or whoever with Kansas that is returning. I'm taking USC here.
I don't disagree with you. I also have USC making the Sweet 16. One of the few agreements we have as far as teams making the second weekend. I got the Trojans as well. And we move into these final two games. Oregon, VCU. This is going to be more competitive than people think. People kind of got Oregon as this, surefire win. But VCU's got a little man named Bones Highland who said today that 3 years ago he's watching March Madness and his house burns down in the middle of it. Loses 2 family members. And now 3 years later, he comes back and he's playing in the big dance himself. And he said he's going out with a bang. Does that mean he's going on to the NBA? I'm not sure. There's a lot of talk about him making the next step. But if he wants to, and he wants to secure a draft position, he's got to win against Oregon. I think this is a game that I'm going to switch right now. I got VCU winning.
Dude, you're firing me up with that right there.
I know. I think it's too good of a story, and stories they dominate March, and that's what we're gonna see with Bones Highland. And the supporting cast of VCU is very good as well. It is, and I think I'm gonna sway Tom here on this pick. He's had Oregon all week. I had Oregon all week. I just switched him to VCU. I think Tom might do the same.
I was nervous about Oregon against Iowa. I'll be honest. I thought that matchup might be an issue. John Rothstein picked Oregon to beat Iowa. Stung me a little bit. Then I kind of agreed with him originally. I was sitting with Mike Hogan in Dayton, Ohio, when I said I think Oregon's going to beat Iowa. Now I thought Iowa was going to beat Oregon. And when it's all said and done, the Rams!
The Rams!
I think I'm going to pick them now. I literally think I'm going to pick them. I think you got me.
Let's go.
It's not because of anything you said. It's because I was talking to my dad about VCU. My dad's also picking VCU. And it's
not because of anything
No, it's not because of anything you said. No, it's not because of any of the good points you made. It's just because of that Bones Highland story. I think he's just a fantastic player, especially now that he just lost the A10 championship. And he played so well in the second half. Oh my God, I'm picking VCU. Mike Rhodes.
The A10 could not have worked out better. It adds fuel to the fire of Bones Highland's incredible story, and it gives Bonnies their hot streak heading into March. I think the A10 is set up for two big wins.
That is just fantastic. That is just fantastic.
And Iowa Grand Canyon will not be close, so we're going to move on to the round of 32 right here. I have Iowa.
Sorry, Bones Highland.
Sorry, Bones Highland. Iowa's way better than you, and they have so many matchups to throw. Iowa's moving on to the Sweet 16.
Agreed.
And like we just said, we also have USC moving to the Sweet 16 as well. So we're going to move up. You have Ohio moving to Sweet 16 over UCSB.
Ohio's beating Gonzaga. No. I have Gonzaga.
I have UCSB moving on to the Sweet 16 over Virginia. They're going to be the Cinderella this year. I don't know. Jamori McLaughlin, I love the way he plays the game. He is going to take over. And the defense is just going to break down for a couple key possessions, and that game's going to be really, really close. Upset alert.
Interesting.
UCSB in the Sweet 16 to get dismantled by Gonzaga.
Interesting.
So if we're going to talk about Sweet 16 right now, who do you have in your USC-Iowa game?
Well, I was tweeting about 2:30 in the morning last night. I think Evan Mobley against Luka Garza, while they're completely different players, I think it would be a fantastic matchup and a fantastic television. But when it's all said and done, I think Iowa has the better guards.
Wow.
I
absolutely agree with that statement.
Yeah, I think Iowa has the better guards in this scenario. I think Jordan Bohannon, who's been in Iowa for the last 17 years, he always does step it up in March, and he needs to. He wasn't too great, especially that second half of the year. Joey Wieskamp's a guy who I just absolutely love.
I was going to say,
with CJ Frederick
they
healthy.
were so worried about his status for the last game that Iowa played. I forget who did they play Illinois?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Oh, well, yeah. Well,
but they were
Illinois,
worried for the Wisconsin game.
Yeah.
About Wieskamp's status, and he just absolutely took over. And I just see the same thing happening again.
Joey Wieskamp's fantastic.
Against USC. So I think this is the only Elite Eight matchup that we're going to have as the same two teams. And maybe the only team out of the region that we have as the same team. Gonzaga is just going to beat Iowa again too much. They're just too much.
As much as I would like to disagree with you, I think I am going to agree with you. I think that, and especially I like Iowa too. So
you like Iowa?
I
really?
worship the Iowa Hawkeyes. If I was an Iowa fan, maybe I'd pick them, but I'm just gonna play it safe and pick Gonzaga here, and hopefully I'm happy. I want my bracket to be busted with Iowa.
That would be fun for you.
Yes, I would.
I wouldn't mind Iowa going to the Final Four as well. I've loved the way that they played all year. I just think Gonzaga's got too much power, firepower, top to bottom, backcourt, front court. Jalen Suggs, I haven't talked about him yet. This guy's going to be a star in March. I promise you that. When Gonzaga plays UCSB, the Jalen Suggs, Jamori McLaughlin matchup is going to be awesome.
What?
Yes.
You mean the Jalen Suggs, Jason Preston?
That matchup would be
America's
awesome as well.
sweetheart.
And I wouldn't be mad at that either. But Gonzaga's cakewalk into the Final Four. And we made great time in the West region because of that. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're moving to the South or the Midwest.
Going to the South.
Going to the South. This is Baylor's region. Maybe not, though. We will see which teams we have coming out of the South when we come back on Seipp and Smitty on WSBU 88.3, The Buzz. Welcome back into the second hour of everybody's favorite 2 hours of the week. It's Seipp and Smitty. It's Seipp and Smitty's breaking down the bracket. We've gone through the East. We've gone through the West. Now we're moving down south to Baylor's region. Baylor, the number 1 seed, kicking things off against Hartford. And I love the American East. I watch the American East tournament every year.
Never heard anyone say that.
I'm sorry. I like to watch Albany basketball.
Weird.
But Baylor's going to walk all over Hartford. Then we got an interesting matchup in North Carolina at number 9, Wisconsin. Now, I think this game's going to be a blowout for the Tar Heels. They're actually turning up just at the right time. Little underseeded. You know what? In the 7, the 6, not the 6. I actually like the way the 6 are seeded. From the 7 to 10 range, I'm really not a fan of how the teams are this year, and I've noticed that more and more as I've looked at the bracket. North Carolina should be a 7 at least. And Wisconsin, I really don't know if they're that good. As far as this matchup goes, the big men rotation that North Carolina can throw out, Armando Bacot at the head of it, is just unreal. They can, if they get in foul trouble down low, it really doesn't matter too much. Walker Kessler at 7-1 coming off the bench is just ridiculous. Tom, do you have the same winner in this game as for North Carolina?
Yes.
Okay, just figured. I really don't think this one's going to be too competitive. I don't like Wisconsin a lot.
I hate them. I think they're bad.
Well, I think they're bad too. Expert analysis from Tom Seipp there.
I've watched too many Wisconsin games this year. I really don't think that they're good. I've watched them play a lot.
I was going to say, Tom definitely
I don't enjoy watching them.
Yeah, he's done his homework on Wisconsin. He's watched a lot of Big Ten.
Watched too many Wisconsin games that way.
I feel like I put myself in a position to watch way too many Wisconsin games. Brad Davison's 88th year in college. Just not going to come out on top this time around. I got the Tar Heels moving on. He does too. Villanova Winthrop. Does your Big East love end here?
It does not.
Thank God.
I'm picking Villanova.
Let's go.
And here's why. I understand that they've lost 4 out of their last 5 without Gillespie. And they've really looked sluggish. They've looked pretty bad. But they have shown signs of hope in that second half in Rhode Island against Providence. They did. And again, they got beat by a very good Georgetown team, a team that was hot, a team that made a lot of free throws. Everyone's picking Winthrop. Everyone.
I agree.
And like you said about Tony Bennett, that you will never see him miss another round of 32, I think that goes for Jay Wright. I just can't bet against Villanova here, especially since everyone's picking against him. They still have Robinson. I think it's ridiculous that people are just doubting Villanova completely.
I absolutely agree. And Jay Wright, like I said, with Tony Bennett, is one of those coaches that has been bounced early in the tournament, and we haven't seen anything like that since. So I think those early losses with really talented and really historical coaches like Tony Bennett and Jay Wright stick with those guys for a long time, and they will game plan against having that same result, especially in a big upset 5-12 game like this, where Winthrop is riding high. I also got the Wildcats.
Yeah, no, without question. Then we move down to Purdue and North Texas, and if I'm being quite honest, I don't think this one's going to be close whatsoever. I think this might. I think it's going to be a 15-plus point win for Purdue. Or actually, we talked about this last night. We consider blowout 17. You consider 20.
I consider it to be 15.
I consider. Oh, you do consider 15. I consider it 17.
Yeah, our buddy Nathan Solomon, WSBU co-host and assignment editor of the Bonaventure newspaper, thinks that 20 is the barometer for a blowout.
Which I'm fine with that.
I'm okay with that too, but I think if you lose a basketball game by 15, you never had a chance to win to begin with.
Disagree.
Yeah, I got Purdue in this one too. They're the way better team. The way better team. I don't think the Mean Green have a chance.
Yeah, I don't know why they kept the NIT court at their arena.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Yeah, I did notice that. I was watching the NIT last night. As big college basketball guys, as big as March Madness fans as we are, we also watched the NIT for some odd reason.
I thought Toledo was going to win the whole damn thing, and they didn't.
I thought Toledo was going to win the whole damn thing. Marion Jackson, a storied career. We interviewed him on the show a couple weeks ago. Such a good guy. He was just so emotional about losing it for Toledo. Just hats off to his career.
Tyler sent me a screenshot of his tweet. I wasn't with Tyler at the time. Thank God. It was one of the few moments here on campus. But I could just picture Tyler. You were definitely crying.
I wasn't crying. I wasn't crying. My pockets were crying because I did have some money on Toledo in that game against Ohio in the MAC championship. or is that semifinal?
Semi.
Yeah, I think it was a semifinal. Ridiculous draw that Toledo got to play Ohio in the semis. Just throwing that
ridiculous draw, like it's the NCAA tournament where they pick where they go.
No, not at all. But yeah, Marion Jackson, great career by him. We gotta stop talking about the NIT and get back into March Madness. And speaking of a game that won't be too competitive as well, there's no way that Utah State touches Texas Tech.
I think it's going to be actually a lot closer than you think. I think
What's close to you? Single
seven.
digits?
Yeah, seven.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm picking Texas Tech as well. I think Utah State's a little bit better than people think as well, but yeah, I have Texas Tech in this one. I don't even have too much to say about this game.
I actually thought Colorado State was better than Utah State. Not gonna lie. I've been a Colorado State guy all year. They should have been in the tournament. However, Texas Tech is gonna roll.
Should have been St. Louis and Ole Miss.
Tom just loves these Power 5s and the A-10s. I'm just saying. St. Louis probably should have been in two if they didn't lose to LaSalle. That's a story for another day. Yeah, Texas Tech, Red Raiders, gonna roll over the Aggies in this one. Arkansas Colgate.
All right.
The Muscle Man.
The final score is going to be 104 to 102.
There is no defense played in this game.
0.
But it's gonna be fun.
It's going to be great.
It's gonna be really fun. Colgate averaging 86 points per game, and Arkansas not far behind in the defensive lacking SEC with 82 themselves. Tom, how do you see this one playing out? I know you're a big must-bust guy.
I'm a huge muscle man guy, as I like to call him, of course. You know, I have Arkansas on this one. I've been high on them all year. They did scare me in the SEC tournament, playing close with Missouri, then ultimately losing to Alabama. But I am going to pick them in this instance. I think it's going to be a great game. It'll be a fun watch, too. Entertaining game for sure. Early game on Friday.
This is gonna, I love that it's an early game on Friday.
Yeah.
That's what kind of sways me to switch this pick.
Upsets only happen during the day.
That's what I'm saying. Upsets don't happen when the sun goes down. If you watch March Madness, it has to happen in the range of 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m. That's when they happen.
That is true.
Another thing that's fun fact about this, Spiro Deeds, CBS announcer, is calling this game.
So that's automatic upset.
Notorious upset announcer. If I really had to switch any, oh my God,
No,
am I really gonna
no.
do it?
You're out of your mind, Smitty.
I mean, Colgate has, Patriot League Player of the Year Jordan Burns, who's averaged at least 15 points in each of his first 3 years.
Isn't Colgate like 9 in the net? Is
Colgate
that them?
are the net. They are the net gods. They are 9th in the net rankings right
For
now.
no reason.
For no reason at all. I haven't figured it out.
It's like when
why.
Bonaventure's won in the RPI.
Yeah, but exactly when Bonaventure.
When Bonaventure
won in the
beat
RPI.
Buffalo or Akron and
Yeah, that's
Hofstra,
really.
they
Yeah,
were
we were
one in
2-0 and number 1 in the RPI rankings, which is totally
Into the new
obsolete
year,
now in
yeah.
college basketball. But the net rankings are not obsolete. Very big anomaly that Colgate is in the top 10. And you know what? I'm gonna do it.
oh my god.
I'm gonna do it. Give it to me. The Colgate is going to beat
The
Arkansas.
Colgate,
The
yeah,
Colgate.
you didn't know
Why-
their name.
I really, honestly, this
I
is
don't
one of those
either.
teams I forget.
I don't know either.
I don't forget. And
I
this
would
is
like
something
to
that
know.
my dad. I really hope my dad's not watching because we go at it with college basketball mascots 24/7,
You really tried to play it off.
and I really tried to play it off, and it's the Raiders.
Right.
I knew it. I knew it
I did not
was the
know that.
Raiders. Oh my God, I'm actually very good.
He really
with-
thought that he got by with the Colgate.
I knew
are
I was,
going to
I
win.
wasn't gonna get. I knew I was gonna get by after Tom knows about the Quinnipiac. Inside joke. With
the
us sports
Quinnipiac.
communication guys. But yeah, this is a game where, like you said, it's gonna be 104 to 101, and it's really not gonna harm my bracket too much if Arkansas does pull out the win here because in the round of 32, I got Texas Tech moving on. So Colgate's going to come out with the upset of the tournament. This is going to be the 3-14 that nobody's expecting. Colgate comes out and wins it.
Now, if you follow my Twitter, I'm not going to say it on here, but if you follow my Twitter, you will know a little secret about Texas Tech and Arkansas. First of all, I tweeted about how I was losing sleep about that game, and I felt like I was going to in May. Well, obviously, because we don't sleep until May.
That's right.
But I have Arkansas winning in this Texas Tech-Arkansas matchup. I'm just going to talk about it now. Why not? If you follow my Twitter, I said the winner's going to the Final Four. So there goes the rest of my Southern bracket. But I've gone back and forth so many times. Marcus Santasilva, he's the guy who does all the scrappy work. Mac McClung, the big name. Chris Beard, you can't bet against him. Eric Musselman. I still haven't decided. I
He
finally
still hasn't
decided.
decided. Well, I'll give you some context. Eric Musselman has made the Elite Eight before. I mean, you're not gonna knock a 2018 Elite Eight appearance.
Sweet 16.
Sweet 16. Who
Yeah.
did he lose to? Loyola Chicago.
Lost to Loyola Chicago.
And then Loyola Chicago ends up beating K-State with Bruce Weber in the Elite Eight.
How do you know Bruce Weber's name?
Yeah, we actually forget Bruce Weber's name weekly. It's so weird. But yeah, Eric Musselman has made a tournament run before. He can do it again. This with a much better team. Mismatch with freshmen, seniors, transfers. This is a mismatch of a roster.
I got my decision. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with Arkansas.
Arkansas
I have
and
to.
Texas Tech.
I have to.
Arkansas in the round 32 matchup, and spoiler alert, that means Tom has Arkansas in the Final Four.
That is true.
But we're going to talk about the rest of this bracket because I do not have either of those teams in my Final Four. We're going to go Florida, Virginia Tech right now, and I'm actually switching my pick to Florida right now.
I was going back and forth on that too, and I hate that that's the first game. I hate that that's the first game. I hate that it's the first game because I have no idea. It's like one game. The only game I don't know. I hate that it's the first game. I'm picking Florida, but it doesn't matter. They're going to lose to Ohio State.
I agree.
Excuse me, Oral Roberts. I've had three different people who don't know each other. They go to three different schools. Have legitimately said to me, "I think Oral Roberts is going to go to Sweet 16." Like what? I was like, I have tweeted out that I think a 15 seed is going to win a game, but I wasn't expecting it to be Oral Roberts.
And
I hate Ohio State, so I don't think they're good.
Shout out to my parents who were for some reason watching the Summit League tournament, and O. Roberts was on the screen, and Mom had no idea what that meant.
I'm sure that was a fun conversation.
It was a very fun conversation because I was upstairs in quarantine in my room, and I just hear them dying laughing about O. Roberts. And actually, I've watched O. Roberts a few times this year. They're not bad.
Very good offensively.
Very good offensively, and that's in a 2-15 matchup. Offense can kind of carry you in the sense that in the Alabama-Iona matchup, it's totally different where Alabama is this juggernaut offensive team and Rick Pitino's carrying a defensive team himself. But in this game, Ohio State is a defensive matchup, and Oral Roberts is that firepower offense. Don't be surprised if this one's close at halftime, but I can kind of see Ohio State pulling away in the end. They've been playing pretty good lately after a kind of a slow. After that what did they lose 3 or 4 in a row in about a week?
Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago. But I got Ohio State moving on easy and beating Florida. And then we come with a Sweet 16 matchup in my bracket of Texas Tech, Ohio State. Tom, you have Arkansas, Ohio State. And we know who's going to win that game for you.
Arkansas.
It's the must bus again. However, I have Chris Beard, like you said, can't bet against him. Just in the Final Four 2 years ago, I got Texas Tech beating Ohio State in the Sweet 16. Shout out to Tommy Valentine.
I had them winning the national championship. If they won, I would have won thousands of dollars. And I know we've actually kind of joked about it, that no one really was intrigued in that national championship. Like, even me, who had money online, wasn't even that
I was
intrigued.
I had Virginia winning it, and I won a lot of money because of it.
Well, I almost did. But I actually had Texas Tech, and that's a good pick, Tyler. I'll give you credit. I think, I mean,
you said it before.
I feel like it might be Texas. I don't know.
You said it before. The one thing about Texas Tech that scares me is they don't have that one signature win. They did beat Texas at Texas, but other than that, it's a really slim pickings as far as their signature wins go.
But they've played some close games.
A lot of close games. They played Baylor close. They played Texas close in pretty much every matchup that they've been in.
I'm picking Arkansas. I'm sticking with it. I picked Auburn.
Tom,
when they went to the Final Four, I'm picking Arkansas.
If you notice there, he was contemplating a little bit whether to keep the Texas Tech train rolling, but I do have that matching up. This is great because it culminates in my take this year that the Big 12 is better than the Big 10, and I'm not hearing anything different. They're going to make their claim, and 2 Big 12 teams are going to meet up in the Elite 8 in the South region because we really don't have to talk about. Do you have Baylor in the Elite 8?
No.
You don't? Well, then we are actually going to have to get to the top of the bracket. But I do have Baylor facing off against Texas Tech in the Elite 8. As far as Baylor, North Carolina goes, what do you got going on there?
Baylor.
I think
don't think
Baylor
anyone's
easy.
gonna be close.
I think people are kind of underrating Baylor because they've lost a few games.
I don't like Baylor. I didn't last year
either. I don't like it as a championship team.
I like them more this year than I did last year, but
I don't like them as a championship team, but I like them as a team that can make a deep run. They've proved it to us all year, beating pretty much everybody in the SEC by 15 plus at some point. And they played a ton of games too. People forget they really had no cancellations in their schedule, besides the game against Gonzaga in the MAC championship. That would have been the game of the year. Not going to harp too much on that. I was very upset when it happened. But I got Baylor moving on against North Carolina in a pretty decisive win as well. Villanova, Purdue. What's happening there?
I have Purdue.
So we're getting death taxes. Matt Painter, not Villanova, Fortune 500.
I just can never bet against Matt Painter.
I agree.
Especially
I totally agree.
what you have to keep in mind is that Purdue is playing in their home state of Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And just think of all the fans that's going to be there.
Agreed.
And Nova, they're already sure. I already have them winning a close game against Winthrop. I just don't think they're going to be able to do it a second time against Purdue, who I think is actually pretty good. They actually fared relatively well in the Big Ten this year. So I am going to pick Purdue, which leads me to picking Purdue yet again in the Sweet 16 against Baylor. I think that's going to be Virginia Purdue-esque.
Wow. Well, the one aspect that Purdue has against Villanova is size, for sure. They're the tallest team in the Big Ten, best rebounding team in the Big Ten. Villanova hasn't lost any bigs yet, but they really never had any dominant, close to 7-footers to begin with. And as far as the opponents that Purdue has played this season that they've beaten, I think Villanova is the most like Ohio State that Purdue has beaten all season. They've beaten them twice. I think it's just a really good matchup for the Boilermakers and Matt Painter. They're moving on to the Sweet 16, but I actually have them losing Baylor.
No, I don't think so. So I have my Elite Eight is between the Razorbacks of Arkansas and the Boilermakers of Purdue.
Wow.
I think that's going to be another fantastic game in the Elite Eight, and I'm going to have to go with the Muscle Man. So there you go.
Wow,
That's my
Must Bus heading to the Final Four for the first time in his career as a head coach.
My Final Four so far: number 3 Arkansas, number 1 Gonzaga, number 7 UConn.
All right. Well, I hate how my Final Four seems so chalky right now, but we will get to why I believe that in just a little bit. I got Baylor coming out. There's guaranteed 2 1 seeds in the Final Four. I promise you that. Promise you 2 guaranteed 1 seeds. Michigan will not be one of them. But two of the 3.
Baylor won't be the other.
Okay. 2 of the 3 of Gonzaga, Baylor, Illinois will be in the Final Four, and you can take it to the bank. I really believe that. I know it's not the hottest take. Obama has all 4 1 seeds in the Final Four.
Speaking of Obama, actually, breaking news: the second gentleman.
Oh, second gentleman.
Yes, second gentleman, Douglas Emhoff.
Mm-hmm.
Has the Bonnies
Hey!
going to the round 32. So that's
Hey,
Kamala
there we go.
Harris's husband.
There we go.
Yes.
Obama did have LSU beating the Bonnies in round 1, but
I wanted to see who Biden's picking.
That's true. I mean, we will see the president's bracket
Who-
eventually.
I feel like he would pick the Bonnies.
I feel like he's a Bonnie guy.
He's got to be a Bonnie
He's
guy.
a small town.
Oh yeah, he has to be. His position is
Oh, that's right.
it works here.
That's
yeah,
correct.
that's right.
That's absolutely
He's picking the Bonnie. He's picking them to win the
Let's go.
win the
I
Final
love
Four.
that. I love that a lot. Yeah, I got Baylor winning a very close game. Like I said, I mean, they already played a close one with Texas Tech before. They're going to have another close one this time around, but it's going to be Baylor eventually taking Chris Beard out of the tournament. My Final Four right now: Gonzaga, Alabama, Baylor.
Chalk.
I know, it's chalk, but
This
guess
is
what?
March.
I know this is March, but really, how many times below a 6 seed does there really be a Final Four team? A lot.
A few times.
A few times. However,
We got a national championship between 7 and 8.
those teams were criminally underseeded.
Maybe so is UConn.
Well, UConn probably is underseeded this year, but
Uh-oh!
honestly, I don't think so. I think 7's a great spot for them. I think they're the first 7 too. So that's a great spot for UConn. But they also have one of the most favorable roads, especially being in the East where there's anything can happen. Yeah, I know I got chalk right now, but we're going to get to something below a 1 or 2 seed. Not far below it, but something below a 1 or a 2 seed as we get to the next bracket, which will be the Midwest, Illinois region. We're going to get to that when we come back. We're taking a quick break. You're listening to Seipp and Smitty breaking down the bracket on WSBU 88.3 The Buzz. Welcome back into the final quadrant of Seipp and Smitty this week. Breaking down the bracket, we've gone through the East, we've gone through the South, we've gone through the West. Now we have time for one more and our final 4 picks. We got the Midwest region, Illinois region, but maybe it's not. And I'll tell you, I don't have it as Illinois region. Tom, we're going to kick things off. Illinois is going to walk over Drexel. They're going to walk over Drexel.
That team from Pittsburgh?
The team from Pittsburgh.
Or Philadelphia? Jesus, how did I just mess that up?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
You just said that, made me
God.
say it. I feel disgusted. They're going to walk all over Drexel. It's not going to be close. Maybe a 50-point game. Loyola Chicago, Georgia Tech. This is so interesting. It really is. Because so many people have Georgia Tech. I don't. Sister Jean's back.
That's not why I'm not picking them. I actually was going to pick Georgia Tech, but once Moses Wright is out because of COVID, that's why I'm picking them. So I'm going to go with Cameron Krutwig. The fantastic center has been there since their first run to the Final Four. So I'm going to go with the Ramblers.
The Ramblers. I am going with them as well. And this is up an interstate matchup of Illinois versus Loyola Chicago. That's going to be really fun. But before we get to that, we're going to run down the rest of the round of 64 in the Midwest. Tennessee, Oregon State.
It's kind of an easy region, by the way.
It is kind of an easy region. Not a lot of upsets going on in this region.
That's when it's going to happen.
In my opinion. So that's why probably my national champion is going to go down.
To someone.
To someone. I'm not going to say who because we got the Final Four to predict. We got the rest of this region to predict. Tennessee, Oregon State. Again, yeah, you ride the hot hand, but not Oregon State. They're not good.
No.
I promise you they're not good. Tennessee's really not that good either. I'm not a fan of them as well. But they're a much better team than Oregon State. And when I say much, they're miles ahead. This is a 20-point game. It's not going to be the most exciting game of the tournament. But, of course, that's why Oregon State's probably going to win. So I have Tennessee moving on there, and I'm sure you do as well.
Rick Barnes in March, Sharpie.
Absolutely. Next game up. This could be interesting because Oklahoma State is, in my opinion, the best player in the entire tournament. Cade Cunningham.
They don't have Jason Preston.
They don't. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. They don't have Jason Preston. Well, if Oklahoma State and Ohio ever matched up, you know who'd come out on top.
Ohio.
Okay. Liberty, the Flames. They've made some noise in the past couple tournaments. They didn't. Did they win that one game a few years ago?
Yeah, they beat Mississippi State.
They beat Mississippi State in the 6-11 game.
From the Atlantic Sun.
The Atlantic Sun champions, the Liberty Flames. They don't return the same team, but they actually did beat Mississippi State again this year. If you didn't know.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
They
Actually.
won by 11,
That's funny.
which is funny. But there's just there's a player in this game that's going to take over the tournament. Might not get all the way, but he's going to have ridiculous outings, and that's Cade Cunningham, the future #1 pick in the NBA draft. I got Oklahoma State in the blowout here.
Yeah,
because the Knicks are going to have the #1 pick.
That's right, because they'll be in the
I heard you
playoffs.
say that under your breath.
That's right, because they'll be in the playoffs.
That's right.
Yeah, I have Oklahoma State winning against Liberty, and I have them beating Tennessee as well to set up the game of the tournament in Illinois and Oklahoma State.
I can't believe you just said that. I have been billing Illinois-Oklahoma State in the Sweet 16 as the game of the tournament since the bracket was released, and now Tom just steals my thunder. I guess I stole his thunder a few times during the show before, so I'll let this one.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't think.
No, it's okay.
I mean, I think anyone would say
honestly,
that.
I absolutely agree. That matchup is going to be unreal. The two conferences at the top of the country are going to go at it in the Sweet 16. Most likely. I swear to God, if Tennessee screws that up, I will.
Can't wait till Loyola Chicago beats Illinois.
Yeah, right? That'll be awesome. Syracuse, San Diego State. This game is pretty much 50-50 by the entire nation.
Yeah, I'm going to go with San Diego State here. I think they're just the better team. Syracuse has been hot and cold, and I just don't foresee them getting a win here. I know, I feel like I say that every freaking time that Syracuse is in the tournament, but I'm going to bet against Jimmy Boeheim here. I'm going to go San Diego State.
When you have to bet on a team to win the game by shooting threes against the top 10 defense in the nation, I just don't see that as the winning formula. The Aztecs have one of the best pack line defenses. I mean, arguably better than Virginia's this season. Virginia's probably a little better on the offensive end. But San Diego State, their ability to defend pretty much any offense that's thrown at them is really fun to watch as a basketball fan. I also have the Aztecs as well. They're a team that you really have to watch out for in March year to year. They just have such a good program out there. And
if they had Malachi Flynn, they'd be
if
like
they
a
had
2
Malachi-
seed.
Yeah, I agree. If they had Malachi, weren't they going to be a 2 seed last year regardless?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if they had Malachi Flynn, yes, I agree. Would he have been a senior this year, or was he done?
I think he was done.
I think he was done as well, so that's why they wouldn't bring him back at all this season. Yeah, I just don't see the Buddy Boeheim, Alan Griffin just making enough threes to win this game. They're not going to shoot well enough. This is going to be a close game, in my opinion. It's going to be low scoring, probably first to 50, but I got San Diego State coming on top.
Yeah, I do as well.
The popular pick for Syracuse, though. People think that Boeheim's some guy who just doesn't.
Well, because Syracuse, yeah, I mean, then they're not wrong.
They're not wrong, but I think that Syracuse, when they do make these big runs, has had favorable opponents. They have.
Also true.
This one is not favorable for them whatsoever. I got San Diego State, the higher seed, coming out of that one. And what do we got in West Virginia, Morehead State? This is one of those games where
no one's talking
nobody,
about them.
and I mean nobody is talking about Morehead State. More people are talking about Abilene.
Do you know where Morehead State is?
Kentucky?
Oh, wow, okay.
Yes, okay. I do know that enough. I don't know what conference they're in.
Where's Liberty?
Liberty is in Virginia.
No.
Where?
I think it's more, I don't know. I think it's in,
Pretty sure Liberty's in
no, I think it's more southern
Is
than
it in
that.
North Carolina?
It was in, it's in Louisiana, I think.
No.
It's
Liberty's
like-
in the East Coast. Liberty University.
It's in one
It's
of
in
those.
Lynchburg, Virginia. Come on.
Really? It's in
Right.
Virginia?
This guy's supposed to be Seippotology. Come on.
Where's Cleveland State? All right.
What?
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I got West Virginia though. I think they're the far better team.
I agree.
Bob Huggins always a shoe in for the second weekend. So
100% agree with that. And following that game is the worst game of the tournament. This is the worst game of the tournament, not named a 116 matchup. Clemson Rutgers in the 7-10. This is going to be brutal.
I envy Rutgers.
I do.
I was sitting there. I said I want Clemson as a 7. You can look at my text messages with all my friends, with my dad,
With
whoever
me.
the hell you want, with you. If we get this Clemson as a 7 and Houston as a 2, Bonaventure will walk in backwards to the Sweet 16.
It would be amazing.
Sadly, they are unable to, but I got Rutgers in this one. I think
I think they're the better player.
overall they're the better team. Ron Harper Jr., Gio Baker's been there for a few years, so experience benefits them there. Steve Peichel pounding nails. I have them beating the Clemson Tigers, who looked horrendous in their last game against Miami. So I'm picking the Scarlet
The
Knights.
Scarlet Knights of where, New Jersey? I forget.
Piscataway.
Oof. Jeez. That game will be first to 45, much like the San Diego State-Syracuse game. These teams do not score at a high clip, and they really don't defend that well either. It's really not that good. Two of the worst teams in the field, in my opinion. But I got Rutgers coming out as well. Ron Harper Jr. is the best player in the game. He's going to win.
Agree.
Houston, Cleveland State, probably not going to be close. But Tom
Whoa.
thinks it will. People are criminally underrating Houston State and what Kelvin Sampson's done. They are.
Well, they're just Houston, not Houston State. A lock of you always are the one who talks about betting. I'll have my fair share here. A lock of the century.
Okay.
Cleveland State plus 20.5. Lock of the century. Lock of the tournament. Lock of the month. Lock of the year. Lock of the century.
Okay. We're gonna act like Houston doesn't allow less than 6 points a game against the 15 seed. Really?
In the AAC,
In the AAC, it's not good this year, but
A10's better.
A10 is
My
better. I'll take that to the grave. A10 is better, but Mokies in Houston is in probably the 7th best conference in the country, and they dominate.
8th.
If you talk about the Atlantic 10 year, I would take the ACC. This year, I'm obviously taking the A10 over the American.
I don't know why we're spending so much time on Houston because they're losing to Rutgers.
I can't believe you just said that. I cannot believe you just said that. Rutgers can't score, and Houston doesn't allow people to score. How is Rutgers going to win that game?
Houston is beating Rutgers. Shout out to my father who has Houston going to the national championship.
Whoa, I'm not going that far.
But I've actually saw that they have the 5th best chance to win it.
Really?
Yeah, which is weird. But I have the Scarlet Knights going to the second weekend. Gio Baker, Ron Harper Jr., Jacob Young, the list goes on and on. Steve Peichel pounding nails, pounding teams in the opening weekend of the NCAA tournament. He's staying 2 weeks in Indianapolis.
That is crazy that you even say that. I probably have a better chance at UCSB knocking off Gonzaga in the Sweet 16 than Rutgers making the second weekend.
Okay. Okay.
We're gonna move up. We're gonna see what happens in that game. I mean, if Clemson wins, then all of this talk is out the window. But I don't think that'll be the case. San Diego State, West Virginia. This is gonna be a real game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good game too, but in the end, I think the better coach, better team is going to come out on top. That's going to be the Mountaineers of Country Road, West Virginia. I think they're going to absolutely win this game and head to that second weekend. Like I said, Bob Huggins always a shoo-in for the second weekend.
You're going to know the name Miles McBride by the end of this tournament. You're going to know the name Derek Holber by the end of this tournament. Derek Holber is going to be a first-round draft pick in the NBA.
If I got a quarter for every time you said, you're going to know McBride's name by the end of the tournament.
You are.
I would be
so
rich.
Serious. And you're really going to know it by the end of the tournament. I'm just saying. West Virginia's going to beat San Diego State in probably one of their toughest games in their entire road. That game's going to be really fun to watch. Low scoring. It's going to be gritty. But you know who likes to get gritty? Bob Huggins. He's going to come out on top there. Tennessee, Oklahoma State, we already said. You got Oklahoma State kind of walking over the Volunteers.
Yeah, I have Oklahoma State beating the Vols leading up to that Illinois-Oklahoma State game. I know you're going to probably talk about it for the next 20 minutes until this show ends, so I'll just throw my pick real quick. I do have Illinois coming out on top. Well, it's an arguable case that Cade is probably a better player. I don't really know on the college level, but Illinois is the far better team. So I'm going to go with the Fighting Illini out of the Big Ten. Dominated all season long. Brad Underwood, fantastic coach. I love his style of coaching. I love his press breakers. I think they're fantastic. Just a random note in there. So I'm going to take the Fighting Illini to beat Oklahoma State. Sorry, Cade. You are done in the Sweet 16.
You know, I'll come off the bat and say I'm going to agree with you. But I'm going to tell you why. Illinois, and I was looking at an advanced metric, and I know I get on your back about advanced metrics in baseball, but advanced metrics in college basketball are kind of cool. There was a list of the most pretty much valuable players. It's the word they used was indispensable. So if you take this guy off the team, they get that much worse. Illinois had two guys in the top 15 on this list: Ayo Dosunmu and Kofi Coburn. This is the best 1-2 punch in the entire country. It's not even close. And just for a quick side note, Oshuni came in at 12 on that list.
Yeah.
While this game is absolutely ridden with star power, Cade Cunningham, Ayo, Isaac Likalele is a great two-piece for Oklahoma State and the Cowboys, but I just think Illinois is playing the best basketball in the country right now. Bar none, it's going to be 85-88 is the final. And that's not saying there's going to be no defense play. There is. But I think Illinois is going to limit Oklahoma State in transition enough. They take care of the ball. Oklahoma State is at its best when it's scoring in bunches in transition. I think Illinois kind of stifles that just a little bit, and they come out with a really close win in the Sweet 16. It's going to be the game of the tournament, I promise you.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, who do you have? Of course, I have West Virginia beating Rutgers.
I have West Virginia beating Houston.
So what is your Elite Eight pick? Who's going to the Final Four, Ty?
Well, why would I stray away from my take of the Big 12 is better than the Big 10? Now, I don't think that West Virginia is straight up the better team than Illinois, but I think they match up super, super well. Miles McBride, tenacious defender, Deuce, they like to call him, and Derek Culver, probably the most physical matchup in the entire Midwest region for Kofi Coburn down low. Doesn't have the height advantage, but he makes up for it in his grit, his effort, and the way that he's just so scrappy down low. I just, for some reason, I believe in the Mountaineers this year. And I've loved Bob Huggins for so long. This isn't his best defensive team. It's always been press Virginia. This is score points Virginia. They can put it up and score baskets. I got in the Final Four.
You're the only person I've heard that has picked the Mountaineers to the Final Four. You were saying that you need two number one seeds, and I'm going to go with that. I actually have the same matchup in West Virginia and Illinois. But again, I believe too much in that team of Ayo Dosunmu and Kofi Coburn, Brad Underwood.
Brad Underwood, phenomenal job he's done. really, really such a good
And
job.
Quabella has come on as a fantastic third option for Illinois, and they played so well in that Big Ten tournament that I think they're just going to continue to ride that momentum into March Madness, and they will beat West Virginia to go to the Final Four. So, Tyler, my Final Four, let's take a look right here, is Illinois, Gonzaga, Arkansas, and the UConn Huskies.
Wow.
The
That's just a
UConn
mismatch
Huskies.
of teams.
We have 2 number 1 seeds, a 3 seed, and a 7 seed.
Yeah.
So, Tyler, I'll let you talk about your Final Four first. Tell me about your semifinal matchups. Give me their results, and then we'll end with our national championship picks.
Well, I said it was Gonzaga's region. They cakewalked to the Final Four. And if I had to talk about just the straight-up strength of teams, as far as the regions go, I got to go with the East is in last. And you put Gonzaga, a ridiculous defensive team, a ridiculous offensive team. They really do it on both ends, top to bottom. Every player on that team in the rotation contributes. Josh Ayayi has come along very well. And I'm not even talking about Corey Kispert, who could be the National Player of the Year in any given year. I think it's and I hate when the Final Four is not competitive, but this game's going to be a blowout. Gonzaga's going to walk all over Alabama and be one game away from a perfect season moving into the national championship on April 5th.
Now, what do you have on the other side?
I have Baylor, West Virginia matching up in a little battle of the Big
Wow.
12s. And Baylor already beat West Virginia this year in my pick for game of the year, going to overtime. They won a 94-89 matchup. It was so awesome to watch that game. Actually,
We watched it in here, yeah.
we
we
watched
watched
it in this room right here at WSBU The Buzz. I don't know. There's just something about this West Virginia team, man. There's something about them. I got the Mountaineers in the national championship. In a close game, and once again, this is going to be no cakewalk for Bob Huggins and company.
That would
I
be
don't
his
know.
best coaching job, obviously.
It would be his best coaching job of all time. I think this is his best team that he's had in a long time.
I don't know about that one, but I'll go through my Final Four picks. I also agree that Gonzaga's going to win, probably in blowout fashion, as I have them against the UConn Huskies.
Oh, yeah, the road stops there for...
Yeah, the road ends there for the Big East and UConn, and I won't even touch on that one too much. James Booknight, thank you very much for showing out. Then we go to the opposite side of the bracket. Arkansas, Illinois. I've been debating this one all day. All day. I've thought about how Illinois is just a fantastic all-around team. I've thought about how Arkansas always seems to rise to the occasion.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier today, I picked Arkansas.
You see, I don't know Tom's pick now.
Later this afternoon, I told someone else Illinois.
Wow.
And I really don't know who I have to pick here. You know, if you asked me about a week ago, I'd have Arkansas winning the national championship. So if they do, and I don't pick them,
You'll be a very sad man.
I will, yes.
That is
That is a very understatement. A very big understatement. But there's only so much the muscle man can do.
Only so much muscle in that man.
The Fighting Illini of Illinois.
Got 2 1 seeds matching up, doesn't he?
I never do that.
I know.
Oh, my God. See, do I go? This is me.
Listen, let's not act like the teams that you have, if you do have Illinois, are not the 2 best teams in the country right now. They are.
Illinois Gonzaga?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. So, I mean, picking them in the national championship is not something to be ashamed of whatsoever.
No, but I like to have some spice in my picks.
So what's it going to be, Tom Seipp? Deliberation.
I know, and I feel bad. I'm just taking up time here, but I think
We got a good amount of time left.
here's the thing, Tyler. This is what I'm thinking of. I think the safer pick is Illinois.
Oh, what do you mean? Of course it's a saber pick. The SEC stinks.
I'm going with Illinois.
Good. Please.
They go with the Big Ten. I'm a
Save yourself
huge
some
Big
points
Ten
in the
guy,
bracket challenge.
and I'll just go with my national championship first.
Okay.
I'm just gonna take your thunder here. I'll go first.
No, I think I...
Since I have the more chalky, which I never do, the more chalky section of the national championship, April 5th, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Oh, boy.
I have a 77-73 win.
Wow.
My matchup is number 1 overall seed Gonzaga against number 3 overall seed Illinois, both 1 seeds. Tyler, who do you think I'm going? I like asking you who you think I'm going to pick.
No, because I think I'm going to get it right. I think you're picking Illinois.
I'll tell you who I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick, I think it's finally time for Mark Few and Gonzaga to finally get that national championship they have been so close to. And they've been vying for so long. I think this is the time they finally do it. And when it's all said and done, the Gonzaga Bulldogs will be the 2021 March Madness national champions.
I'm not in disbelief because that's a bad pick or anything, or I think Illinois would kill Gonzaga, because they don't. I think it'd be a really close game, like you said, 77-73 would be your final. What I am shocked at is that you're picking a team to run the table entirely. You're picking a team to have the first undefeated season in a long time.
I am. That is correct. Mickey Mouse ring?
Mickey Mouse ring, that could be the remedy for a team going undefeated this season. And if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Gonzaga, obviously.
And again, I did these picks as we went along today, and I am pressing submit on my ESPN Tournament Challenge to fill in my name and stuff, I guess. But there we go. There's my picks. I have Gonzaga winning the 2021 national championship.
Listen, don't think I can't hear Jim Nantz saying the Bulldogs, Mark Few, finally gets it done. But in my national championship, I also have the Zags. I also have Bob Huggins. And it's going to be the Mountaineers, baby. Let's go. West Virginia is going to win the national championship. You heard it here first. So guess what? That means Morehead State money line. Please bet it. So I look like the biggest fool in the world. But I totally believe in this West Virginia team. They're deep. They run. They create turnovers in the open court. And that's what Gonzaga hasn't seen all year. When they found BYU in that slugfest, BYU wasn't creating turnovers. They were kind of just hitting shots. They weren't playing the defense necessary to keep Gonzaga out of the game, and obviously that's why they ended up losing to the Zags and keeping the undefeated streak alive. This is where the road ends. It's happened before. Kentucky, they were very much supposed to be an undefeated national champion. Frank Kaminsky and Sam Decker, they had something else to say about it, and Bob Huggins has got something to say about Mark Few in the national championship. West Virginia winning it all. I can't wait. Miles McBride, you're going to remember the name.
Oh, man. I really don't. I'll be lying to you if I say I foresaw that happening. I really just don't. But I think when it's all said and done, Corey Kispert, Jalen Suggs, Mark Few.
Such a fan of the Zags team.
Is the best team they've ever had.
And I agree. I also say that this is the West Virginia team that's been out there in the tournament in a long time.
I don't know if I agree with that one.
The Javon Carter team, yes, it was good. They were very good.
They were better.
They made runs. They just couldn't get over that hump because they didn't have the offense. This team is scrappy. They can shoot the ball. They can really just pound the defense side. It's going to be a Mountaineer year. Bob Huggins, welcome to National Champion.
There we are, Tyler.
This is so much fun.
This is
We're
March.
going to be so wrong. I mean, I picked Colgate to win mid-show.
Yeah,
this is going to be so much fun, and it all kicks off. Already did kick off in the first 4, but it really starts tomorrow at 12:15. Virginia Tech, Florida. Going to be a really exciting game because I'm going back and forth on that. Might change my pick by tomorrow.
Shocker. Probably pick it with 2 seconds left.
Listen, it's the early round games are just as important when you get down the stretch as the late games. As long as you have those teams in the Final Four, in the Elite Eight, those round of 64 games are going to make the difference, and nobody wins bracket challenges pick and chalk. That's all I have to say about that.
Are you telling me that I'm not because I just picked Gonzaga?
No.
I'm just kidding. I have UConn in the Final Four.
We did have UConn in the Final Four, just absolutely not going to happen. Can't wait till both of our brackets are busted. Tom, we got about 5 minutes left here. We're going to go through a quick couple tidbits about the bracket in the early rounds. If we've talked about it throughout the show, there's always this team that we don't see having any chance at being upset in the first round, if you had to pick a team that we haven't really, that we've kind of glossed over, who would it be that gets upset in the round of 64?
I'm going to give you two. I'm going to say Eastern Washington against Kansas.
I like the pick.
But more specifically, I'm going to say that because of COVID. But I think another one, and you're not going to like this, is Utah State against Texas Tech.
Huge upset.
I think that would be a big upset, but on paper, I guess. But in reality, it's actually not. I think that that's going to be a lot closer game than you think it's going to be. Again, I'm picking Texas Tech, of course, but I think that Utah State is gonna have a run for their money, Tyler.
Now, I will say that I like those picks as far as you're talking there. I already picked one technically in Colgate Rutgers. I mean, people are picking Colgate, but not at the clip where you're picking teams like Ohio, UCSB, Winthrop, all these Georgia.
I don't like how everyone in the country got on my Ohio bandwagon.
They did. I said it before the show. I will back you up in that statement where you've been on the Ohio Bobcats
November
for a long
2019.
time. If I had to go with a pick here that I could just see absolutely busting up brackets, for some reason, when you have a weird mascot name, you just there's just something about you. You become a sexy pick. But not. If I had to pick one, the North Texas Mean Green would be a weird upset pick in the first round.
Not happening.
Neither is Eastern Washington, Kansas.
Iona
Iona's another one. But
or Roberts.
Another one that I'd have to go with that just seems really weird that nobody's picking, UNC Greensboro over Florida State.
No.
I haven't seen it. Listen, tell me who Florida State's go-to scorer is. They really don't have one. They have 5 guys who average about 10 to 11 points. If you don't get a big game out of any of them, and you get an elite player come out of his shell for UNC Greensboro, could be cause for some upsets. Now listen, we're talking about these games. We don't have any of these teams winning.
Nope.
Of course not, because that's why our bracket's going to be busted tomorrow.
Yep.
So, it's going to be a whirlwind of a tournament. We both have Bonaventure in the Elite 8.
Yep.
So if we're talking about ridiculous upsets that nobody's talking about, it's St. Bonaventure over number 1 Illinois in the round of 32.
Yep.
And I can't wait to watch our Bonnies at 1:45 on Saturday. I'm glad that we have all of Friday to enjoy the games before the stress.
I wish they had.
Stress-ridden
I wish
afternoon
I wish
Saturday.
I wish they had that 9:57 slate on Saturday.
That would be fun if we got the last game of the night. But the Bonnies have been playing in the afternoon lately. It's been a fun ride. I can't wait to see what they do in the tournament. I can't wait to see what West Virginia does in the tournament. My national champion.
Tyler, if you're listening on the actual air, we're gonna go out to a song that I know you'll enjoy. With your West Virginia pick.
Kick the John Denver. This has been Seipp and Smitty's breaking down the bracket. Seippotology. Tyler's terrible bracket. They're both probably going to be terrible.
Yep.
Can't wait for March Madness. This is our favorite time of the year. All the John Rothstein quotes are just going to be boiled into one giant.
Grab your nitroglycerin pill.
Grab your nitroglycerin pills.
There we
This
go.
is March. This has been Seipp and Smitty on WSBU 88.3 The Buzz. Catch us next week breaking down the entire first 2 rounds and previewing the Sweet 16 Elite 8 matchups that we'll be getting next weekend. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It's been so much fun.
This is March.